Welcome to the Heartwork Podcast, where we delve into stories, struggles, and triumphs of entrepreneurship, leadership, and personal growth. I'm Dr. Sara.
And I'm Dr. Marisa. We're here to guide practitioners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and those just navigating the complexities of life on a journey of discovery that explores the dance between passion and strategy, heart and hustle.
With candid conversations, insightful interviews, and plenty of laughs, get ready to uncover how leading with heart can transform your business and life. Let's dive in.
So, Sara, I had my session with Pablo this Wednesday, and I've been chatting with you more so about how since like September and since my Achilles break and since our first Heartwork conference and workshop, I've been learning how to fly and drive my business just in a different way, wearing a different coat, wearing a different leadership hat, and holding on more loosely, as well as creating more boundary around like how I show up in the business and what I allow like energetically to flow through me and like who has access at what times. And with some of that releasing of control and creating more boundary has also meant that I'm not as intimately energetically present with my team, and noticing how with my associate docs, that was really present and helped us literally navigate the business for months while I was not able to. They have created a deeper bond with each other now. And it's been so great to see how much like they as a team are really like navigating that. And obviously I would want my team and my associate doctors to have a wonderful cohesive relationship. I've just noticed some little things popping up inside of me like, what about me? Like, am I still liked, wanted, needed? And it's just it's coming from this place of, I'm stepping back into the business, but I'm not always adjusting and I'm not always on the floor and I'm kind of on the back end and I'm not the primary, adjuster and person anymore. And so I'm also just navigating like inner work with that and not being the one to do it all and just what this new hat really looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And so naturally, when I'm not with my hands and everything, there's pieces of my self-worth that really come to the surface and to the table. And so I have been processing that and trying to talk through that with myself. But I had a call with Pablo this past Wednesday. And that's what I started with. That's what I wanted to process out. I'm like, I'm kind of feeling this. It reminds me of being a little girl and not being like the popular one and like people pleasing. And am I always liked? And what what's my worth, what's my role in all of this? And so I'm spewing this out to Pablo, and I can like see him nodding and see him listening. And if anyone one of our listeners like knows Pablo, you know that he's like listening to you and what you say, but he's actually processing what's between the words and between the lines and the sentences of phrases. And I like stop and I'm like, so yeah, I'm so grateful, but I'm just noticing that these feelings are popping up and I'm not really sure where to go or like what to do with this. And he just fulls on like looks at me and is like, no, it's not your team. And I'm like, no, I really, I really think that the team, it's not necessarily like the team. Like I'm not mad about this situation happening. I'm actually quite like in gratitude for it. I'm just noticing what I'm feeling inside me. And it's reminding me of being like a little girl. He's like, no. It's no. And very rarely does he just like do that. But we have that relationship now. We've been working for long enough that he knows how to interact with me when I'm in that space. And he just goes, it's not your team, Marisa. It's not your team. Marisa, it's your daddy and it's your husband. Okay. Just sat there like,
You're
what
like,
do you mean? Wait, what do you mean? And he's just like, it's your daddy and it's your husband. And so then I'm like sitting there and I'm always open for the invitation. Even if I'm like, I don't know, man. I will sit. And so the first place I went was, okay, if this were true and if it was my daddy relationship, what would have to be true? Like where can this lead me? And no fucking shit for 40 more minutes or 30 more minutes. It was just full on tears processing stuff. And I was like, okay, it might be partly my dad. And he's like, and we'll dive into the husband relationship next week. I was like, Okay, buckle up, buttercup, like, let's go. I know you've had those moments, so I know you can relate. And again, nothing bad, just, like, where truly
Oh.
is the root and the feelings coming from and the way that you've operated in the world and, like, experienced things in your life. So
I'm laughing because I do know it to be very true. Or again, if anybody is listening that works with Pablo, you know this, you just know this interaction so vividly. And it's like a visceral response. That's why I'm also like literally laughing because I've also had it's like the Pabloisms and it's a Pablo
yeah.
face and all of that. And I think it's also really cool because the way that he coaches is he doesn't just tell you about something, he invites you to process it and see if it
Mhm.
lands for you. And if it does or does not, he's not going to just force something onto you either, which is cool. Um, but he does have this really beautiful gift of hearing between those lines and really being able to see what God is trying to talk to him about through that at the same time. And so, I just think it's beautiful that you came on also with the intention of saying, "I think it's this," but also maybe it's way more deeper than that actually.
Yeah, so
So
TBD, because 'cause I'm in active process right now, and I'm not about to share from that wound, but sometimes I guess the lesson that really I just wanted to share and have a funny story with was that it's not always what you think it is, and the invitation is if you're presented with feelings or thoughts or a pattern that you try and logically make sense of, you're probably missing a little bit of the mark in going there.
Mm,
Um
yep.
because logic can try and reason, but heart just wants to see and talk and be heard, you know? So, um, but again, this is why it's so freaking good. Like, I really don't tell people to do things. I try not to, but like, damn, like y'all need a coach. Y'all need a
Yeah,
coach. Like, you kn
agreed.
it's I could keep going down the rabbit hole of, like, it's my team or it's just the way that I'm processing, like, moving through a new growth season and, like, showing up different and not even get into the root of, like, okay, yeah, me as a little girl, like, not feeling like the picked one, not feeling like the popular one, and, like, feeling that, but truly that actually is the surface of a well of untapped place that I
Mhm.
clearly hadn't gone before, considered, and went to. And I'm not going to go into the detail of it, but I'll just share like there's traits of my relationship with my father that I really valued and loved because of something that it's given me. And in that conversation that I had on Wednesday, I've realized that I've actually stamped that with approval to avoid processing a deeper feeling. So, that's just the beautiful part of being, 1, open enough to go there, 2, open enough to explore something that I may not resonate with, but, like, if it were true, what would actually come to the surface and see if something is actually there underneath. Um, and 3, just be more present to even experience than what might show up. And sometimes we need someone else to facilitate
Right.
that process with us. Truly, like, God.
Mhm. It's so crazy because it literally is such an evolution of life and who you are, and health and healing literally don't stop. I think that's the craziest part is even sometimes people will work with a coach for a small short period of time and you can have so much beautiful momentum in there. But then it's like, well, okay, life still happens though, right? Like life still evolves, life still moves, and you just never know what's there. And I loved your description of a well because it truly is. It's like the well of life, like, but it's also the well of life of your
Mm,
heart. Like it's truly untapped potential for what you can discover about yourself and also what you can discover about this world as you dance and you laugh and you love and you experience this world. So I think it's so true and also so evident. Everybody freaking needs a coach. And I obviously am a huge
mm,
advocate of Pablo all day freaking long, just because he's just has a very, very special gift. And I know we know that
mhm,
to be true. So I actually, we were laughing beforehand as we were getting ready to record. And I was like, yep, that whole thing about the, like, you think you're going to go talk about something. And then also this perspective of it's a
mm,
little deeper. I actually am one of those people that sometimes I feel like I have dreams that speak to me sometimes that are so powerful and so, like, rich that I'm like, I don't even know what just happened in that dream, but I need to write it down, I need to process it, and it's something that continues to go on from there, and I actually had one of those this week that was really, like it, like, jolted me out of bed, and I continued to have, like, some I don't know if you've ever had this, but it's like the after you've had the feeling and the expression of the dream, it's like things keep popping, and it, like, felt like there were still remnants of the
Mhm.
dream trying to come out within the next, like, a
Yeah.
minute or so. And so I sat with it, meditated with it, and then was like, "Okay, I gotta write all this down." So wrote it down and then went to Pablo yesterday, and I truly had, like, this whole, like, thought process as well. I'm like, "Oh, this is what this dream meant, LOL." Um,
LOL.
so
LOL.
so which I think the thing that the perspective of it is we have this idea, like you said, the logical
Uh-huh.
brain, because we're using our brain versus, getting a opportunity to actually go to the heart, to your core, to your, like, your essence internally to actually try to
Mhm.
understand. And it's way just more than the surface. Your heart has typically something more that is when I talk about than that surface level. And so I am also still in process with this. So I'm not going to probably be able to communicate all of this eloquently and perfectly. However, the dream itself was really interesting. I was in the first part of the dream, it was like I had 2 parts to it. The first part, I was actually sitting in a big circle with a bunch of our friends and individuals from the Wealthy Practitioner. It almost felt like we were, like, at an Expanders crew, and all of us were
Oh, yeah.
sitting in a circle having a conversation. That's what it felt like. And, um, Stephanie Wigner was there, Lacey Neville was in it, Stephanie Asher, and Jess
Oh,
Bulkey. Like,
great
all
women.
y'all, I love y'all, you are all
Wonderful women.
great women,
Yeah.
and y'all were plus my husband Nolan. That is the only,
What?
like
No one was
I know. Nolan was there, and, like, the overall, like, essence, like, 100%, there were more people, it was a big group, but the faces that I remember specifically in the dream were those
amazing.
ones. And, we were pulling oracle cards, and one of the things that were just with this, I kinda have personally sometimes have an interesting relationship with cards like this because I tend to, like, get a little bit like, is this actually spiritual or is it more
Mm.
woo woo? And so, personally for me, but that's just been my own journey with that at the same time, and but I'm using it for the essence of, like, this was part of my dream. So, like, we were pulling cards and Jess Bulkey and, Stephanie Asher pulled a card in the dream, and it was very there was a lot of emotion around it. There was a lot of tears. There was just this essence of a lot of letting go, a lot of healing. That just was the energy that came when they pulled theirs, and the amount of camaraderie that came from it was also really beautiful. And then it got to my turn. I pulled my card, and it was really interesting. Like, I remember vividly seeing on the card, it was a, like, very, like, sexual card on the front. Like, the image of it
Oh,
was, like, a man and a wife I know. Like, I'm giving you guys a snapshot into my,
I
like
like this active processing
to my
episode.
to my subconscious right now. So, um so it was funny because on the front part, it was, like I said, like, it was literally like a man and wife getting it on a card as much as I could, like, put it
Yeah.
into words. That was just, like, the feeling
Mhm.
that it was. And, there was a lot of laughter when I drew the card because I kinda showed everybody what it was, and there was, like, a lot of things that were happening from it, and everybody was like, "Ooh, maybe you and Nolan need to go, like, literally leave and go have sex, like, go get, like, intimate." It was just, like, that was kind of this, like, laughter around it and the energy around it. And then there was also a piece on the card that was all about my sacrum, which was also interesting, just knowing what certain things have come from that
Yes.
as well. I know, it's so interesting. And actually Lacey said something about, like, your sacrum is very tied to your emotions and tied to, like, feelings in your body and all that
Uh-huh.
type of stuff. And I was like, "Okay, so that's, like, part of the dream." And then I'm like, "Okay," getting ready to flip the card over. I flipped the card over, and I can't even tell you and describe to you, it was literally like something switched. Everybody left. I was no longer in a circle. I was literally by myself. I've talked about this a little bit, but I was sexually assaulted by my grandfather when I was 6 years old, from what I remember. And the my dream went from a place of laughter, calm, fun, like sensuality, that type of stuff, into terror. Like, my dream switched immediately and I went into a very, like, it was very dark. There was a lot of terror. There was a lot of fear. I was like, get me out of this place. Feeling the minute that
Yeah.
card switched. and it immediately woke me up, but then what came after that I'm getting, like, chills
Mm.
all over as I'm talking about this right now. I had a lot of like, I went directly back into that room, didn't necessarily have the memories of it, but I just remember the body feeling of what I was in that moment. And there was just a lot of, like, imagery then that came that was I remember a picture of my little six-year-old self, and, I would, like, remember saying to myself, like, when I was waking up, I'm like, "Wow, she was so innocent, she was so little, she was literally, like, her skin is, like, so soft,"
Yeah.
like, just, like, essence of, like, a
Yeah.
child, you know? And, like, this beautiful picture of just this little girl, and man, that sucks and it's not fair, and also then at the same time, like, there was it kinda then evolved to, like, intimacy and trusting, and it kinda just continued to go per a conversation that I had with my husband, and then it just kind of, like, simmered, but I was like, "What the mother F just happened?" It was so wild, and, so I wrote it all down, and I literally I think actually this was, like, before a weekend, so I felt very like, all weekend a little bit, I was like, "Okay, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be feeling, processing, trying to process," kinda like what you're saying of, like, you feel like you're in your, like,
Mhm.
head a little bit as you're trying to navigate, like, "What the hell was that, God? Like, what does that have anything to do with
Yeah.
anything?" And also, like, like, how do you rationalize something that is so different and trying to
Yeah.
figure that out, And so, I go to Pablo, tell them the dream, and my thought was, like, we were gonna really work through some trauma about which maybe there is some of that there, right? Like, maybe there 100% is, like, a little something, but I'm laughing at this because I literally went in thinking we were gonna be working through some, like, of that, like, assault trauma because I'm like, it was just so,
Mm.
rich there, and again, doesn't mean that it's still not something that needs to be done, but I have done a whole ton of work there, and so I feel really healthy
Yeah.
in that space, and so that was just I'm like, "I don't know if there's more things to process through this at all, but if there is, I wanna do it because I don't wanna have to still have that holding
Totally.
over me," right? And one of the things that he talked about was it kinda brought it was more or less based off the full like, my past season of life a little bit, where more of the imagery of me flipping a card. We actually talked about the difference between something on the surface, literally the surface part of a card, when you pull it over, when you flip it over, something is way underneath and it's triggering something there. And how something is triggering something that's more subconscious. And he actually brought up, he was like, would this at all have anything to do with you have really strived for money and there's this like essence of success and gaining and feeling really secure with money in my life that I've used it. This is something that's not wasn't just from this dream. I've 100% used money as a way to protect
Mm.
myself, in a way to keep safe, in a way to tell myself that I have done a good job and to keep me
Mhm.
secure over the course of my life. And the minute that I feel like I don't have it, truly, I have had these moments where I go into this state of panic and I go into this state of holy mother F, it's all gonna fall apart. And if I don't have this, it's like this whole like it truly the essence of that terror almost comes up, like full like body like freak out. And he's like, we just talked then about how so much of that just again knowing what I've been coming through over the course of this season might still be something that is very much there. And you can be in groups or you can be in other aspects of things that on the surface you may think you're getting something from them, but it actually could be really triggering something underneath to really come to the surface. And um, that for me at least, and this is again something that I'm avidly still processing, but it's like my belief in money is a side of protection. And when I don't have that protection, I literally am in a state of
Love it.
terror, in a state of like dark. And so that is truly what I am navigating and figuring out, and it's definitely more than what it like may perceive, and I think there's more there, but at the same time it is evident to the reality of sometimes we may have again that logical brain, we may have this picture of what we may think something is going to look like, and maybe it's tied yes to other aspects of that, but it's given us an invitation to even understand more and more about ourselves there. Because I know for me, like if I want to actually really make beautiful wealth and really have a continued abundant life, even with a monetary value such
Mhm.
as money. Uh, like, I want it to be from a healthy place, not from a place that I am holding on so mother effing tightly. And the minute that I don't have it, I go into a physical body panic. Like, if that's part of what that dream meant, like, okay, cool. Whatever the freak I need to do, God, let's heal this and let's give me a chance to be able to work through that because I don't want that to hold me back because that was a visceral reaction that I had, like, so like if that is truly the opportunity that I get to navigate, it's like 100% I will do that. So, um, yeah, it's wild. Like, there's always so much more if we give ourselves a chance to be able to actually dance there.
Damn. You wanna know what's interesting?
Yeah.
When we were trying
Mm,
to figure out what we wanted to record today, on my desk here
mhm.
is my oracle cards, and I was like, "Maybe we should just pull oracle cards today." But I'm really glad you shared that story because I don't know if it's the most appropriate for this time. Or
Right.
maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe we'll do that when we get off the recording, but pick your favorite
That
number.
is funny.
Actually, I'm just gonna look for the card that has the most sexual, like, cover to it,
Yep.
and that's the message you're gonna get today.
You know what's actually really funny though? After I had this dream, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go pull pull a card because I want to actually know if I'm gonna actually
And did
have
you?
something that comes up. No, it was absolutely like, it was a card that was all about like trust. So
Love,
I do think that it was very
love.
beautiful in that sense. Where literally, I think um, the card literally said inner trust. So like beautiful in the side of like continuing to like trust obviously who I am
Mm.
and what I've like been called to do, and it was absolutely gorgeous. But in my brain, I was trying to logically be like, I want to see if I'm gonna actually get this freaking like sex card that I had in my dream to see if God has something to say through this. And it does
Mm.
wasn't necessarily
Things are
kind of
not
wild.
always as
But
they seem.
mm-mm, no. So the continued beautiful invitation for everyone listening is that they're not always as they seem, and you truly have a well of discovery and life to be
Mm.
lived inside of your heart, truly. Like, it literally never stops. And I've been doing this long enough to know that it really literally never
Mm.
stops. Like, and I will do this work until the day that I don't have breath in my lungs. Like, just because at the end of the day, it's like, what else like, it's the opportunity of living at the end of the day. It's living from an air of breath of your true self, not from a space of constriction, of terror, of performance, of people pleasing, of all of these things that we feel like we have to do to be our real person, to be the real person that we think we have to put out to the world. So thank you for joining us on another episode of the Heartwork Podcast. We hope today's conversation has inspired you to lead with heart in your business and life.
If you enjoyed this, subscribe so you never miss a release, rate our show, leave us a review, get on our VIP email list, and join our exclusive Facebook group, The Heartwork Life, to plug into our community and learn from us and other heart-led entrepreneurs on a weekly basis.
We look forward to chatting with you next time.
Bye!